Hey everyone, happy, what is this today? Wednesday, hump day. All right, we're halfway through the week. Today was an okay day. We were down quite dramatically with Bitcoin and the miners in the morning, but things bounced back a little bit. So the miners they were kind of mixed, half and half. Bitcoin also, I think, finished out the day in the red a little bit, but wasn't that bad as it might have been. So that was a good sign there. We also had the CPI data come out today, which was actually pretty good. So now we are thinking that we are going to get the 25 basis points from Papa Powell here coming up here. So that might be good as well. And what else we got here today? Oh, Cleanspark, buying more sites in Tennessee. We'll talk about that. They're now getting to 37 exahash this year. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it, and then we'll take a look at institutions buying in the last month or so. Okay, so then we'll get into you guys' Q&A side of things as well, and we'll call it a day. So it should be easy. As always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure down below that. Subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Hit the like button and hit the notification bell as well. Let's get into it here. And here's what we got on Bitcoin and the miners here. So Bitcoin's actually doing pretty good right now in the new day. So it's going to be on Thursday. As you can see here, Bitcoin was down quite a bit here. It hit a low today of 55,534, bounced back, and we closed at 57,352. Nice reversal on the day here. So that was really good to see. We are above our support here, which is at 57,500, which is good. And we'll see where we end up tomorrow with it. Tomorrow's going to be Thursday. Yeah, but that's basically on Bitcoin here. We can see that the miners, for the most part, were mixed. We had a couple miners that were up just slightly. Wolf was up 4.2%. IREN was basically flat on the day. Hot was up just a little bit, 1.29. Hive was up 3.08. DMG up slightly, half a percentage point there. BitDeer up slightly, also 0.32. And ANY, for some reason, was up 8.18%. I wonder if it's the news that they are buying a site, I think. Was it 12 megawatts or something like that? 20 megawatts, I can't remember exactly. So that was actually pretty good news for ANY there. And maybe that's why the stock is actually going up here a little bit. Okay, but that's it on the miners here really quick. We talked about the network hash rate yesterday. Maybe take a quick gander into that one, see where that's at right now. As well, it has come down a little bit here. We are now at 672 exahash on the 7-day average. 30-day average is still going to be up there, I'm guessing. Came down a little bit as well, 649 exahash. Okay, so that is it on that one. Let's take a look at the story that we do have here, which is going to be on Cleanspark. So Cleanspark came out with a pretty good news press release today, actually. So Cleanspark to add 5 exahash and increase 2024 guidance with acquisition of 7 additional Bitcoin mining facilities in Tennessee. This is actually really good news. I love seeing this because they did have basically on order to get to 50 exahash by the end of the year here with the purchases of the Bitmain machines. And I was wondering how long it would take them to get to the full 50 exahash. Now I'm thinking they might be able to get there maybe sometime in the first quarter of next year, potentially. They're going to get to 37 exahash now. If they buy any more sites, they could get to maybe 40 exahash even this year. We'll see. But nonetheless, they're going to definitely get to 32 exahash. That's great news there because that was their original target. Now they are improving this again to get to 37 exahash, which we've seen them do this before as well. When was it? This was back in 2022, I think their goal was to get to 5.5 or 6 exahash, and they got to like 6.7 exahash or something like that at that point at the end of the year. So they're kind of repeating what they did in 2022 as well. But here's what we have. So Cleanspark today announced it has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire 7 Bitcoin mining facilities and certain associated land in Knoxville, Tennessee area for total cash payments of $27.5 million or approximately $324,000 per megawatt. That's a really good price there. Let's see. Going down here, the company anticipates closing at each of these sites on or before September 25th, right within a couple of weeks here. The operating hash rate of the combined facilities is anticipated to result in 5 exahash per second once the latest generation S21 miners are installed, increasing the company's current hash rate by over 22%. The miners required for this expansion have recently arrived and will be installed promptly upon the closing of each site. The 7 sites total 85 megawatts and range in size from 10 megawatts to 20 megawatt sites. So really good there. And this is just kind of like their playbook. They just keep going out and buying these little sites and then possibly expanding them out if they can. If not, they're just going to put in their latest generation miners and mine at it. So this is good here. And then with the energization of our Dalton 4 campus last week, we've already surpassed 23 exahash and expect more hash rate to come online this week from the energization of 50 megawatts of S21 Pros in Sandersville as well. So again, really good update there. The 50 megawatts, how much would that get them? So they're going to get 50 megawatts. Geez, they could be probably like at maybe 30 exahash by the end of this month, maybe. My math is correct. I'm doing it in my head really quick here. Because they're getting, let's see, 5 exahash with 85 megawatts. So 23. No, they won't get to 30. They would get to probably maybe 27, maybe something like that, 27 exahash by the end of the month here. So that's really good. With this additional 5 exahash expected to begin hashing over the coming weeks, we now expect to achieve 37 exahash before the end of 2024. This is great news there. As we previously discussed, our timing of the market on mining server purchases intentionally locked in low prices so that we could take advantage of opportunities like this and immediately fill acquired data center space. Again, this is a great job by them. And then Tennessee has a similar political and energy environment to Georgia, which where we've deployed nearly $1 billion of capital and operate nearly 500 megawatts, said Zach Bradford, CEO. Applying the same winning community-oriented strategy to the volunteer state is our plan as we expand our presence in the region and continue showcasing how Bitcoin can benefit the local power grid and communities where we're located. So this is fabulous news. So now we're getting to 37 exahash, maybe a little bit more than that, I would imagine. By the end of the year here, this is all good news. And this surprised the stock didn't go up more than well, actually it was down a little bit today, but I'm surprised the stock didn't do much better than what it did here. Maybe we'll see that tomorrow with Bitcoin going up in value maybe. Okay, but that's it on Cleanspark here. Just wanted to go over that. And let's take a look at what institutions have done here recently in the last couple of weeks with the miners. Which ones have they been buying? Which ones have they not been buying? And we'll get into your Q&A side of things here. So if we scroll over to institutions, there it is. Okay. I pulled in all the data here that I collect over the last, well, I usually keep track of about 6 months worth of data on institutions for the miners and pulled in all the data here. And here's what we have on that so far. So percentage stock price change, 6 months, and the number of shares that were purchased by institutions. We'll look at that as well. So we can see here that the one that got the most institutions buying, share-wise at least, is CORZ Scientific. 127 million shares were added by institutions to CORZ Scientific, followed by, we got TeraWulf, 107 million. And then we would probably have, who else? Cypher, 63 million, followed by Marathon, 61 million, IREN, 58 million, and then Hut 8 with 44 million. So those were like the top ones that the institutions were buying in the last, I would say, 4 weeks, 5 weeks or something like that. So that's huge there. We saw huge gains here in CORZ Scientific over the last, or actually this is going on 6 months, sorry. This is looking at 6 months data, so from 6 months back. Over here we look at month over month. So a lot of buying here in those companies over the last 6 months. How did the companies do in respect with price changes, percentage gains? CORZ Scientific has done the best here, up 195% in the last 6 months. TeraWulf up 63%, Iris up 40% on that one. Cleanspark's actually down. What is that down? Gosh, what's that going to be down? Hard to tell. Cypher 41% down, so is Cleanspark down like 59% there? I can't really read that, sorry. But they're down quite a bit here on that. Iris is up 40%. We talked about that. Everybody else is pretty much down on here. But you can definitely see where institutions have been buying in, and the ones that have worked out are TeraWulf, IREN, and CORZ Scientific. If we look at the month-over-month numbers on it, we can see that TeraWulf has had a huge increase here recently in the last month, 97 million. Right, we talked about TeraWulf in the past, also the last couple of weeks with couple notable people and investment firms buying into TeraWulf, and that's why we saw quite a sizable increase in stock price here recently. Right, they're up 33%, and that's because of that. Next one that's up quite a bit here is also shares in CORZ Scientific. That has been up 75 million in the last month alone. Stock price is up 17.85% at that point. Next at bat would probably be Iris, up 47 million shares bought, and Marathon 48 million. Then you got Cypher with 45 million, but everybody else here has done worse, except for Marathon and Iris are still up a little bit here in the last month, just a little bit, not much. But you can see one that has done the worst here, Cypher in the last month is down 20%, almost 21. BitDeer down 20%, Cleanspark down 16, Bitfarms down 12, even though institutions have been buying into it. So it leads me to believe that it's more on the retail side of things that's driving the price down on some of these guys, with people capitulating basically in the miners because they bought it at higher prices when, maybe Cleanspark was at 20 some odd dollars. Same thing for some of these other guys that were higher priced at that point, and then they just kind of, held on to it, which you're kind of supposed to do. At least that's what I'm doing, is holding on to them and buying more as the price dips before we get the nice rally in Bitcoin here. That's kind of what I'm seeing there. And then you can see all the data here. We can also look at the price targets here. How have the price targets have changed over the last 6 months and 1 month for the miners. And we can see, let's do it by the high. Who has increased, who had the most analysts increase their price targets here in the 6 months? So let's do that descending. We can see that CORZ Scientific had an increase of $20 for the high. The average went up 16 and the low went up 13. So it's the difference that where we were 6 months ago to now. So there's a $20 increase in the stock price at that point. Iris, the next one here is 7.5. Terrawolf at 6. Hut at 4.59 additional. Cypher $3. Hive $2.37. Cleanspark is flat. BitDigital is flat. Bitfarms actually price target came down $2 from 6 months ago. BitDeer $3. Riot down $3. Marathon down the most here, $8 by analysts at least. Okay, and when we look at the month-over-month information here, let's take a look at from the high. Who got the most gains here in the last month? Let's do that descending. We can see that Hive actually increased the most, $2.48. Everybody else, for the most part, stayed flat here on the high value side of things. Bitfarms actually down $1. BitDeer down $3 at that point. And then if we look at maybe the lows did, or the averages did change a little bit here. The lows also did change. Let's go descending on that as well. Hut 8 had an increase on the low by $6, Hive by $1, Cypher by $1, BitDigital by 70 cents. A couple that were flat here. Then Riot was down $1.50 on the low end. BitDeer $1.50 as well. Iris down $2.50. Marathon down $8, and Cleanspark was down $11 from the low from just a month ago, which is kind of surprising there. Is that correct? Let's take a look at that. Seems like a bit of a change. Yeah, so it did come down from 22 to 10. Yep. So that is correct on that one. So that's how the institutions have been buying here recently. They're still buying while retail is capitulating, unfortunately. I've been buying some more about last week. I was hoping to buy some more this week. Still have a couple of days left. I'll see if I can scrunch some change up and buy some more while the prices are still relatively low. A couple other things here to note. I have updated the spreadsheets for the X multiple here. Now we include also Bitcoin going to 2X and 3X, where would the miners could be at that point. And I think there's something else. I think that's it that I updated here. So the guys with, and the gals that are part of the Patreon membership, you guys will see that later on tonight or tomorrow morning when I upload those sheets for you guys. So you guys will have access to it. And if you want access to all my spreadsheets and data and everything else that I have, the link is down in the description for that. $8 a month. If you pay the annual subscription, you get, 10% off on top of it. And then you might be able to find a couple spots that are $5 and $4 as well. And then you get access to the private Discord server as well. Okay, but that's it on that one. Let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things, see where you guys are thinking of. What are your thoughts, questions, anything else? Let's get into it. Okay. All right, we are back here. Let's see if we have any questions. I'm going to go through some of the comments that are already in here, see if I can find something. So bear with me. It's always a little bit of a delay from there. Let's see. Okay. Gary asks, how does Cleanspark adding 5x hash compare to IREN adding 5x hash at Childress in cost? In cost, I believe IREN was building out their infrastructure and data centers at like 750,000 per megawatt. So with Cleanspark buying it at 320 some odd million, or 325,000 per megawatt, that's quite a big difference there. Price-wise for the machines, they were paying similar pricing, I think, on the machines that they're getting. So there's not much change there. It's just the infrastructure that's a little bit higher cost, I think, for IREN. But IREN says that they can use it also for HPC AI business as well. So that's the difference on it. So if you're doing that, then you're going to pay a little bit of a premium on the buildings in order to do that. But they're not tier 3 data centers. They're more like a tier 1 or maybe, I wouldn't say a tier 0, but probably like a tier 1 maybe at that point. What else we got here? Let's see. District 9 says, I expect IREN to dilute 20 to 30 to fund 2025 operations. You're thinking about 20 to 30 million, or are you thinking about the stock might only get to like $20 or $30 in 2025? Not sure. Let's see. Seb, you said previously that scale solves all problems. Do you believe there's a point where miners is too big, aka of diseconomies of scale. Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't think so. The big thing with scale is you have more. Well, scale is basically you have a lot more machines than the cost that you're associated with, like SG&A and other things like that help cover those things up, right? So if you have a miner that, for example, if you have a miner that's making 10 million a quarter, but they're spending 6 million on SG&A a quarter, that's not good. But then if you have a miner that's maybe larger, they're getting 50 to 100 million dollars a quarter, but they're spending 15 to 20 million on SGA. That's a big difference there on it. So that's why I say scale solves a lot of problems for the miners. What were your thoughts on the debate yesterday? We talked about it in yesterday's live stream. Trump didn't do well. I thought Harris did a little bit better on it, but it was also, on ABC. ABC's more Democratic leaning, so they were trying to get Trump a little bit as well. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hi, Seb. Has Riot improved their uptime a little this month? Thank you. They did not. They got power credits, but if you look at the power credits and how much they got, and if they were operating for like 100%, they would have actually generated more in Bitcoin that way. If you do the Bitcoin equivalents to the energy pricing or energy credits they got for it. So they haven't really. And I talked to Bryce and Anthony this morning, and Anthony, was it Bryce or Anthony? I can't remember who said it. But one of them has said it that when they talked to Jason said to expect more curtailment during the summer months when it's really hot. But in general, over the 12 months at Corsicana, they should be at like 95% or something like that uptime. So we need to see much better uptime here in September when the starts to cool off a little bit, especially into October, November. Through those months, we need to see much better updates. Let's see. What was IREN's latest earnings report SG&A cost? Let me see if I can pull that up really quick for you guys. Let's see. IREN here. Okay, go back here. So here's IREN SG&A costs. If we look at the comparison that I typically do here, let's see. General administrative compensation was about 24%, so it was down. Well, that's for the full year. So it was up to 26%, so it was up a little bit from the Q3 numbers, but a lot of times they put in their bonuses and things like that, so that's usually what drives it up. But the SG&A, if we look at it here, let's see here, they take out, so they share-based expenses. Share-based expenses was $6 million in the quarter. Where's general administration? Expenses, depreciation, amortization, electrical charges, realized gain on financial asset employee benefits, so it was 9.3, so I think that's their SG&A. Professional fees was up a little bit. What was that? So that's maybe, 11 million here roughly in SG&A, roughly, if we just include those things in there. Other expenses was another 2.4, so now we're at roughly 13.5 million on it, and then generated 57 million. That's actually not too bad, right, on it, if we look at it that way. All right. Back to the Q&A. See, has Riot responded to Bitfarms' olive branch of one board seat? I have not seen anything on that. I haven't seen anything from Riot responding to that. I'll check tomorrow to see if there's any press releases from Riot, but I didn't see one today at least. What else we got here? What is the new price target for Cleanspark now that they increased to 37 exahash of BTC goes to 150,000? Well, that's getting to the end of the year. I don't expect Bitcoin to be 100,000 by the end of the year. So I would still say I think they should be probably around $20 to $30 somewhere in there, in that ballpark. If Bitcoin goes to like, once they're fully installed at 37 exahash Bitcoin, and possibly even 50 exahash sometime next year, they should be valued much higher than that. And we'll look at those numbers tomorrow, probably in tomorrow's video. We'll look at the X multiples, where Bitcoin could go and where the miners could possibly go with 2X and 3X on Bitcoin. See, thought Bitfarms doing all good things. Why is it not moving the needle on stock? Riot may not be the only reason. The only reason that I can think of right now is Riot, or it's because they're based in Canada. So I actually put out a poll today on X. Should Bitfarms move to the United States? I think it was, at the last time I checked, it was like 81% were in favor of Bitfarms being headquartered in the United States. That would open up some possible other opportunities for them as well, I think, with institutions and things like that, getting listed possibly on other indexes as well. So that might help. I don't know. Just a question that I had out there, something to think about. Next question, which miners are you buying this week? If I am going to be buying, it's going to be probably the same ones I bought last week. Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms right now. Let's see. Riot, Chris says Riot is the best. Okay, what are your thoughts on CORZ, given the current increase in insider buying of the stock? I think CORZ is going to be a monster coming up here in the next year, I would say. Their HPC business with CoreWeave is going to be starting sometime in, we're guessing maybe end of Q1, sometime in Q2 maybe. That should give them quite a bit of revenue there as well. It's going to be a little bit less revenue or less profit margin until they pay off basically the loan that CoreWeave gave them for like $407 million to retrofit their facilities. That will end in 2 years, but after that, they should do really well. Let's see, Sour Melon Gaming says, especially I enjoyed Anthony's feedback to the house fire. Yeah, we talked about that today also. I was on their show. The comment you made yesterday. Yeah. Moed says, hi Sebastian, I am liquidating all my shares of Cleanspark and buying Near Protocol. I think the future of crypto is going. Don't know about Near Protocol. The question, do you still think Cleanspark and Bitfarms will 3x the return on the rise of Bitcoin? So if Bitcoin goes up 2x, could they do like a 6x basically? I think somewhere around there. I would say somewhere between a 4 and 6x would be expected, more or less. So I do still think that. Right, on average, if we look back historically, the miners have been like a 3x on top of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes 2x, you would expect miners to do like a 6x. Let's see, what was IREN earnings release, earnings per share? They were actually, let's see, that's down below. They came in at negative 29 cents for the year. I don't have the data for the quarter. We could possibly extrapolate the numbers that we do have here, whatever they came in. These were cents, so this was 8.27 cents. So we had 15 cents here, 7 cents. Let's just do quick math here. 7, 15, 22. And then they had 7.29. So they were like close to being flat, like almost like somewhere around close to 0 cents in Q4. If we just go by those numbers there. Okay. Okay. Back to Q&A. Okay. It can't be ignited. Wolf outperforming peers for a reason. Major institutions buying huge HPC contract incoming with a major player. Well, that's kind of what the hope there is, right? We don't have anything definitive yet. And also, what kind of a contract is that going to be? So we need to see that, I think. And that's why the stock has been going up here recently, is because of that hype, that, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word. But you guys know what I mean. It's basically hype on that possibility. Let's see. Let's see. Private asks, I asked this a little better, more completely in the comments on your last video. Perhaps you can answer more fully there. Thanks. I'll see if I can find it. I answered. Well, I didn't answer. I just starred and liked a bunch of the comments that we had here just recently in the last before I started the show. So if you have a question, ask it here, because I probably won't find it over there then. Let's see. What do you expect Cleanspark, IREN, and Riot price at the bottom of the next Bitcoin bear market? Oh, good question. Will we have a bear market? What if we only go down Bitcoin 30%, right? Will the miners go down 80% at that point? Maybe. I don't know. But let's just say they get to like $70, $80 or something like that in this peak bull run. If they go down 80%, I mean, we're looking at them getting to like $8 or something like that, right? At that point. But we'll see if we get a bear market again. We have a lot more institutions, a lot more adoption happening with Bitcoin. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. With IREN efficiency improved to 17 joules, can any miner compete with them on energy cost per coin for the rest of 2024? CleanSpark's going to be close, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat the 17 joules per terahash. They also have some older machines. I don't think they can. They're going to be close, but not at 17 joules per terahash. I don't think anybody else can. Maybe, I don't even think Mara can do it. Riot, maybe. Riot has some. Well, no, they also have the immersion cooled machines, which are a little bit higher joules because they're not from Bitmain. They're the other micro BT. Yeah, so yeah, it might be tough. If BTC peaks at 100 to 160,000 this cycle, what do you expect the next BTC bear market lows to be? A range. I did a calculation. When was this? About 6 months to a year ago now, maybe. And where I thought Bitcoin was going to go, my thoughts for this cycle was going to be about 180,000, and then the low in the next bear market would be if we get another bear market, right? Like historically, like we would. I was thinking that we might come down to like 48,000 to like 60,000, somewhere around there. I was pretty close on the previous bear market in 2022. I had it at 13,500 coming down. It actually got to like 15,000. So I was pretty close on that. But we'll see. Okay. Let's see. Your space credit says excited for tomorrow's video set. Please factor in somehow because I can't figure out how future dilution, existing dilution. PS waiting till 27.3 to buy miners again. 27.3. Oh, damn. The year 27. Sorry about that. Dilution is not going to be really factored into it. You can factor in a little bit when we do the calculations on it. That's why I give you guys a range where I think they might be into, but you're not going to be able to, get a 100% accuracy on it with unknown dilution, unknown Bitcoin price, where it's going to be exactly, hash rate as well. So I'm going to give you guys a range. The low end for 2x on Bitcoin for the miners, then where could they possibly go? And then also on the 3x part, if Bitcoin goes to 3x, where could the miners possibly be in a range? Lower end and higher end. Let's see. Hi, Sebastian. Do you still maintain your price target of 85 for IREN if BTC reaches 150,000? I would have to be a little bit north of 150,000, I think. My original estimates, I think, was $80 per share, right around there. Right. So if we get close to that, I think that'd be fantastic. Let's see. Thoughts on a pullback to 40,000 before rocket? I just don't see it happening right now. Let's see. Hi Seb, do you already or can you track Bitcoin price versus global oine supply? I don't know what that is. Global one supply. So global. Are you talking about? Well, I don't know what you're talking about there. Can you track Bitcoin price versus global oil supply, maybe? Or is that where? Yeah, I don't track that. If that's what you're asking, I'm not sure what you're asking there. Would you hold miners after Q3 2025? BTC doesn't peak by then. Depending how Bitcoin's acting, right? Is it going up? Maybe it doesn't need to peak, but I mean, what is the peak now? I mean, anything above 73,000 would be a peak for, right? New all-time high. So it just depends where we're at. Let's just say Bitcoin goes to, by Q3, we're at, let's just say 120,000, right? At that point. Could we get a nice rally in Q4, which is October, November, which is normally really good months for Bitcoin? Could we go up to the possible 150,000 or 180,000 that we were thinking? Maybe. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Let's see. Generally curious, why do you allocate capital in Bitfarms? Yes, they are growing to 21 exahash, but compared to others like Cleanspark and IREN, it's clear that they are leagues ahead compared to Bitfarms. Okay. Based on the data that I'm seeing with them, their operations, things like that, I saw the same thing with IREN and I saw the same thing with Cleanspark. And they look more undervalued than those guys are right now. That's the reason why I'm putting capital into them, into IREN and Cleanspark as well. Because if it works out like Cleanspark has worked out for me, or IREN even, then I should do pretty well with it. But that's given that Riot stops the hostile takeover. I think that's holding the stock down there. And then, yes, they're getting 21 exahash this year, but they already have plans to get to like 35 exahash next year sometime and beyond that. So that's kind of the reasons why. Let's see. If Bitcoin stays flat for the remainder of the year, what's your plan going to be? Oh, that'd be interesting. Bitcoin stays flat around the 50 and 60,000 range or something like that. Yeah, I mean, could that signal then that we are in a different cycle? Might. Let's see. Now that Bitfarms stock has dropped significantly, do you think there's any chance Riot is successful with a hostile takeover? No, because I believe that, one, the board and the Bitfarms management believes that their stock is undervalued from where it really should be, given that their growth trajectory and everything else that they're doing here recently puts them on a much better footing. So I think they would not accept anything lower than possibly like $4 or $5, at least I would think. And Riot's not going to be paying almost $2 billion for Bitfarms, I don't think. So, they came in with a really low ball offer, $2.30. That didn't go through, so they were going through the hostile takeover. And then if they can get the board seats on there, which we'll have a vote on that in November 6th, we'll see what Riot does at that point. Will miners still be profitable in the next bear market? Typically in the bear market, they're not profitable. It'll depend on where the network hash rate is, where Bitcoin price is at that point as well. What kind of machines they have. We have continuation of machines being upgraded all the time, right? Newer machines, more efficient, less drawing on power, everything. So there's a lot to digest and a lot to calculate for that, unfortunately. There's just a lot of what ifs. Space Credit says, no, sorry, 27th through October 3rd, dilution into price targets. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for your comments. Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay. Why doesn't pure player miners comprehend that big money wants AI data centers, high-speed computing, etc.? Okay. Me as a person just looking from the outside, I don't have the information on the inside. What kind of conversations are they having with customers that want HPC AI, right? Everybody says that they have all these conversations, that they have interest in all this stuff. What have we seen so far? We have CoreWeave, right? That's a huge contract for 12 years, whatever it is, $4.some billion in revenue for them. Other than that, nobody else, except for maybe BitDigital, has gotten a really good customer, right? BitDigital's getting a customer for about 100 million, possibly another one that's going to possibly grow with them as well. And that's it for the most part. Other companies have little smaller clients that they're working with, where they're short-term contracts or things like that. So with all that being said, with all the hype that's around there, two things make me think of a couple of things. I talked about this also with Anthony and Bryce this morning. One, Amazon is already invested $34 billion this year to upgrade their data centers, add more HPC AI stuff. They're spending another $30 billion, right? That's like dropping the bucket for those guys compared to a CoreWeave, which is spending basically $4 billion over 12 years. So you got to think about that also. You also have Google building out its data centers. You got Microsoft building out its data center. Those are the hyperscalers right there. Would the hyperscalers partner with some of these Bitcoin miners? Possibly, but to be honest, I just don't see that. They like having control, especially like Google. Google builds their TPUs. They're supposed to be better for language models and things like that, the chips. So they have their own chips that they're developing. Apple is using Google for AI as well, right? Then you got customers that, so those would be like the hyperscalers, right? CoreWeave is trying to become a hyperscaler as well. They're going to be offering their systems, their HPCs, their servers to customers to do the same things that they could do on Amazon, on Google, on Microsoft. That's why Core got that huge contract there, because Core can provide that infrastructure relatively quickly, and CoreWeave can build out relatively quickly at that point as well. So that's the benefit there. Otherwise, other customers, what other customers do you really have that are that well funded that could spend billions of dollars? You really don't. So you have much smaller players that are looking to build out software stacks, large language models as well. And they can do that on Amazon, they can do that on Google, they can do that on Microsoft, which then also gives them the ability to scale their software, their offerings to the public, to the businesses, whatever it might be, much faster than what the actual companies like the miners could do themselves. So that's kind of where I see things right now. Unless something changes and we get a huge contract for like TeraWulf or something like that, this is kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. That's my thesis on it. We won't see another maybe large contract like we've seen with CoreWeave and Core Scientific. We might see smaller contracts like we've seen with BitDigital, $100 million a year or something like that. But yeah, I just don't see massive contracts going into the miners. If a hyperscaler is going to do anything with the miners, they're going to buy them out, and they're going to kick Bitcoin mining out, and then they're going to do their own thing with the megawatts. But also, recently here, X, right? X with their, and Elon Musk with their AI, I think it was Memphis, Tennessee or Kentucky, I can't remember which one it's in. I think it might be in Kentucky, that they built out a data center within like 5 or like 6 or 3 months or something like that, which is now the largest HPC AI set up there. So you can see how quickly they can build out by themselves if they really want to. So everybody's talking about this. Also, the shortage of megawatts. Well, not seeing it. Yes, a lot of people are talking about the shortage of megawatts. But, I mean, you're seeing Cleanspark buying here recently megawatts, much smaller sites, yes. But then you're seeing also X. You're seeing Amazon buying and building and doing all this stuff. I don't know. Okay. That was a little bit of a rant there, I guess. Let's see. Do you see any miner could double their all-time high? At what price would BTC be for that chip? Oh, my gosh. For them to double their all-time high. Marathon was like $80-some. Riot was at 70-some, almost $80 as well at the peak. I just don't see that happening unless Bitcoin goes up to like 250,000, maybe closer to 300,000 at that point. If they could double it, that would be just so much hype and FOMO into the market at that point that maybe at that point the miners could do it. Let's see. Hi Seb, do you already or can you track Bitcoin price versus global M2 money supply? I do not already, no. Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of a good comparison there, I think. Okay, that makes me actually think. I may have to write this down. I may look into that because that might be a cool comparison there. M2, okay. M2 supply to Bitcoin price. Supply BTC price. Okay, thank you for that. I'll check it out. Maybe this weekend I'll take a look into it. All right, what else we got here? What makes hash price go up, go down or up? Hash price, that's dependent on Bitcoin price and difficulty network hash rate, basically, on those things. That's what makes it go up. Also, you can include there the transaction fees of Bitcoin. That can also help. See. A while ago, a guy wanted to bare knuckle fight you. Are you training for a fight? Who wanted to fight me? Yeah, I'm not training for anything. Okay. Let's see. I agree with you, Seb. Bitfarms will rocket like IREN and Cleanspark. Bitfarms has done fantastic and shockingly undervalued. That's kind of my thesis on it, right? I'm seeing the same things as I saw with IREN and Cleanspark. Okay, Bitcoin miners haven't been profitable in a bull market. I doubt dropping into a bear will help any. Yeah, I mean, they are more profitable in a bull market, but that's also for historically a short period of time. You're looking anywhere between 9 and, well, I would say 9 and 6 months, something like that. Okay. While I think BTC will continue to be cyclical, the cycles are no doubt going to change moving forward thanks to ETFs and slow adoption at an institutional level. This will be beneficial to miners. It should, right? But also, you kind of need that volatility in Bitcoin price because miners that can grow their hash rate, improve their hash rate efficiencies and things like that benefit tremendously in a large bull cycle, or just a regular bull cycle in general. But if the price is going, up slowly this way, and network hash rate is keeping up with it, you're going to have the same hash price basically. So if Bitcoin goes up slowly, network hash rate goes up also slowly because of it. You're going to have the same profitability possibly for some extended period of time. If Riot buys Bitfarms, what happens to my Bitfarms stock? It gets converted over into Riot shares. Will Bitfarms be set up for HPC by the next bear market? Ben has stated that they would probably be able to do that by the end of 2025 into 2026 with some kind of HPC, depending on what they get. Right, so maybe they could do it a little bit faster if they get a sizable contract, maybe. But I wouldn't expect anything until maybe like latest Q2, Q3 of 2025. Or the earliest, actually, I would say. In the last year, MicroStrategy and BitX have far outperformed Cleanspark Bitfarms. I used to think these miners are 3x leverage play on the rise of BTC and will offer way better returns over MicroStrategy and BTC. Do you still? Historically, they have. So I still think that this is the case. We still haven't really reached our peak bull run in Bitcoin. If we get a peak bull run in Bitcoin and they're still not at least a 3x on Bitcoin, then yeah, things have definitely changed at that point. Seb the Oracle BTC miners. Oh, no, just it's all data driven for me. Try to look to see where things possibly could be and come up with some estimates. Let's see here. Miners have become more experienced and efficient in building out infrastructure. This will help them be profitable in the future. Of course, it depends on BTC continuing to grow. Yeah. Let's see. Shaibu says, is anyone else in the I Trust Capital Crypto RA where they just sold our Bitcoin without customers' approval to pay an erroneous $125 fee from their custodian Fortress Trust? Oh, that's interesting. That's not good. I don't use that, so I wouldn't know. Okay. Why is Wolf so strong compared to the other miners, considering their current exahash future growth of exahash? It's all due to the speculation of HPC contract. Yeah, that's basically it. Yep. Let's see. Does IREN came with the purchase of? He kept buying the dip. You saw the tweet with the boat. Let's see. Does IREN came with the purchase of? Hold on, I'm trying to understand that. Does IREN came? So the girl on the boat, IREN, you're calling her IREN for IREN. Yeah. No, I said that was my wife. That's actually not my wife. It's just an AI image. All right, what else we got here? I hope IREN signs a long-term contract for HOC AI with a hyperscaler. The small time running their own machine situation, only pulling in $1 million per month is too small and uncertain. Yeah, and I think they're contract with Poolweave ended this past month, I think. So I don't know what they're going to be generating here in September from that at all, right? And the other thing was that Dan has said that now it looks like the HPC business that they invested in, which was like, what, 20, 30 million, whatever it was. Originally, they were looking at possibly 24 months to get an ROI on it. Now he's saying it might be like 24 to 30 months on it. So it's also a longer ROI on the HPCs than we are getting for the Bitcoin ASIC miners. Bitcoin ASIC miners are typically getting an ROI at about 12 to like 16, 18 months or something like that, historically. LTD Launcher says, yes, on the global M2 supply versus BTC, I see Fed not cutting till October, causing liquidity issues, and down goes the market filled buy rate cut and quantitative easing, then rocket, in my opinion. Okay, interesting. Let's see. Fed is not going to be spooked. The market right now, they will do a 25 basis cut as expected. I'm kind of expecting the same thing here. They've signaled it. If they don't do it, yeah, it might not be good for the markets. And plus, you have the elections coming up, so I think they're going to want, things to look rosy. Let's see. Brett says, I don't care what contracts or exahash the miners achieve as long as they moon. Yeah, that would be nice. I'm also hoping for the same thing. I don't keep up with Riot. Will Cleanspark overcome them by end of year with 37 exahash? Are you talking about exahash themselves? Riot is planning to get to what, 35, I think, now with the purchase of Block here recently. They were originally getting to 31, I think. Yeah, I think they're getting like to 35 or something like that by the end of this year. So, yes, if they get to 37, they will be just like, what, 2 exahash larger than Riot. Andre says, yeah, Poolside is no longer a customer of IREN. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought there. Let's see. IREN lost Poolside, but has 5 other clients. How much do the clients contribute to the revenue? That's the important part of it there. Let's see. The CPI report poured water on the idea of a 50 basis hike. Yeah, I think so. Let's see. If Riot never bought any Bitfarms shares, the share price would be way lower. I just don't get it. There has to be something more than just the Riot situation as to why there's never volume on Bitfarms. It could be the Canadian thing, like I said earlier. What else we got here? I'm trying to maximize my returns in the next 12 months, end of this bull run, and I'm wondering if you think Cleanspark and Bitfarms are still the best way to go, best bang for the buck. I think Cleanspark, I would add in there, Core as well, potentially, IREN and Bitfarms, yeah. Let's let's see, or likely better returns than MicroStrategy or the 2x BTC ETF called BitX. Yes, I would expect the miners to do better than that. Let's see. Andre says, yes, they're HP, so we're talking about IREN here. Situation is small time and needs to grow. They should do a hosting deal with a big customer with a long-term contract. Yeah, but where is that customer, right? That's the big thing. Brevet says, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts. You're absolutely very welcome. Let's see. Hey, Cleanspark going to catch up tomorrow. Current exahash. Well, congrats to them. They're going to be close, yeah. Well, Marathon's already at 35 exahash. They're getting to 50 exahash by the end of the year. They might be a little bit behind them, but they are definitely getting close. IREN went in small to experiment what works before going deep, same as when they built 1 exahash in Childress last summer and learned what worked before going to 30 exahash this year. Yeah, you could be right. They did go small, right? They also bought the HPCs, so it's kind of like a learning process for them on how this is going to work out. Andre says, yeah, maybe they will wait until the mania phase to announce larger HPCI contract with the hyperscaler. Like I said before, I don't think any hyperscaler is going to be partnering with Andre. I could be wrong, or with IREN. I could be wrong on it, but that's, typically they want to own the assets. They can depreciate the assets, and they have full control over them. So I just do not see that happening. JR says, hi Seb, do you recall a similar swing in volatility leading into the last cycle? It's been daunting descending into these bad boys and seeing them go negative. Yeah, we saw the same thing after the last halving cycle. The miners were going down for a couple months before we started going back up into the fall area, fall time frame, and then more so in the following year after that. But yeah, definitely see it. Let's see, Mara's King, Hodl got in under 14 this dip. Nice, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing, is Marathon going to be changing their stance to more of a MicroStrategy play going forward? Who knows? I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name. I do apologize. So, hi, Seb. Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Let's see. Any recommendations to learn TA from scratch? Oh, gosh. You're going to have to search the internet, the web, the YouTube, to see if you can find some good people out there. I'm trying to think if there's any couple good ones out there. But there's quite a few out there that are pretty good that you can possibly learn from. It's tough. Technical analysis is tough. It's not that easy. It doesn't always work out the way you think. And typically, what's the historical trend on traders? Like 90% of day traders end up losing in the long run. Only like 10% make it. So that's why I can invest more in the longer time frame. So you remember, IREN is working with Morgan Stanley to plan how to use the new 1.4 gigawatts site opening in 2026. They are experimenting on small-scale planning for future use. Maybe, but it also could be that some hyperscaler goes in there and just goes, "We'll buy your 1.4 gigawatt sites, and thank you very much." You just never know. JR says, I'm based in Australia and started purchasing IREN at 28 when it listed all the way down to $1 if anyone else is feeling silly. Okay, I can understand that. That was back in 2021 when they went public, right? I think. Or at least in the United States, they went public at that point. Yeah, they were much higher priced. They did go down quite a bit here, but they have come back up. Hopefully, dollar cost averaging pretty well. So your cost average is lower, hopefully, than $10 at this point. But I did the same thing with Cleanspark. I started buying it at $9, so it wasn't as high as you did. But it was at $9 back in January of 2022. Wrote it all the way down. Well, I didn't write it all the way down. I just dollar cost average and all the way down. But that definitely saved the day there. Besides Cleanspark, what's your largest holding? That would be, I think, IREN and Bitfarms are pretty close to being second there. There's not much difference between those two there. Is BitDeer's diversification hurting their stock price? I don't think that's the reason why. I think the reason why the stock isn't doing maybe as well as it probably should be doing is because a lot of their growth is not until like the second half of 2025 and into 2026. That's kind of what I see there, at least right now. They're building out a bunch of sites in Ohio, Bhutan as well. But a lot of that's not going to be done until somewhere towards the end of Q2 of 2025 and into Q3, I think. So they're going to have more growth then. Do you think any smaller miners might be targeted to get acquired this cycle? Well, we already saw Bitfarms is acquiring Stronghold. We also saw Cleanspark acquire Grid. Riot was trying to acquire Bitfarms. So we are seeing that. I don't know who else would be on the chopping block other than those guys. Okay, let's see. Craig says, hi Seb, when you look into M2 supply, follow it back through the cycles. I think you might be surprised. Okay, cool. I'll definitely take a look into that. Let me follow it back through the cycles. Okay, so look at the having cycles and things like that. Okay. All right. So you guys think the money supply is the main driver of Bitcoin price going forward, or at least historically? Is that the case? Stop pen. Okay. How are you weighting the miners? I have about half Cleanspark, half Bitfarms, but I'm thinking about going heavier into Cleanspark. I would say, where am I at now? I would have to pull up my spreadsheet on it. I'm probably like 40% Cleanspark, and then I got like 20% both into, maybe even more than that. It's like 25% in Bitfarms and IREN, and then the rest is in Core. That's kind of the way I'm weighted. Okay. So Melon Gaming says BTC starting to run. What's it doing now? Is it starting to run back up a little bit here? It's up a little bit here, not much. It's what's it up today? 1.51%. We'll take it. I mean, any green day is a good day for us, so we'll definitely take it. Let's see. IREN price targets by institutions look wrong. I've heard much higher price targets. Well, the institutions for IREN have them at, what do they have them at right now? They've actually come up here recently, which is nice to see. But here's price targets that I have for them. Are you seeing the same thing? I got them at 26 from the institutions on the high end now to low end of $9.50. Yeah, I don't think they're including the potential Bitcoin going up to 150,000, maybe north of that. At that point, they should be higher. But yeah, I mean, look at the strong buy ratings. Things have been definitely changing here from institutions and analysts as far as which miners they're getting into, and the buy ratings, how those are changing also to being more bullish here recently, which is kind of nice to see, actually. All right. What else we got here? At what BTC price will do 10 to 15? You're talking about Bitfarms? I think that would have to be north of 120,000, 150,000, then, on towards that end of things. The fact all of us on the M2 means we cool. Let's see. What price of BTC Hive will do $15? Hive, yeah, I would think, again, same thing with, I mean, Hive is at, where's Hive right now? Hive is at $3. Wow, you're looking at a 5x at that point. Bitcoin have to do at least 2x, I'm guessing. So we're looking at 120,000, somewhere around there. BTC will need to be 250,000 for Hive to get to 15. Oh, well, I don't think it has to be that high. They're a great small miner, and they're just doing their thing. But yeah, we'll see how they do going forward. Hi, Sebastian. I'm thinking to switch all my shares from Riot to IREN. Do you think this is a good idea? Looking back historically on Riot, we know that their performance has not been great. So could they also fix their situation there and do much better going forward? I don't know. Historically, what we do know about IREN, they've been a great operator. So you have to kind of look at those things as well. I don't know what prices you got into Riot and things like that. Are you down? Are you up on them? But I do think historically IREN has been a better performer. So I'm willing to bet that IREN will continue to be maybe a better performer. I don't know. But I'm in IREN for a reason, because of their operations. Same thing with Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and CORZ. The reason I'm not in Marathon and Rise is because of their operations. Haven't been great. Okay. All right, everyone. I think we are all caught up here. What time is it right now? 10:54. We're going on basically an hour here, almost as it is. We'll see what kind of news we get tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. We'll do a video on the multiple X factor for Bitcoin and the miners as well. We'll go through all that, see where things stack up. I have in the past gone much more deeper into the data with the miners, or where they could possibly be in exahash and where the network could, but that takes a long time to do it. Maybe I'll do that if I have time. We'll see. I haven't done that in a while. But tomorrow we'll do that. We'll see what else happens on top of that. And then let me see here. I think we may have one more question here. Could you explain a bit more when you say miners need volatility to be profitable? As BTC continues to appreciate, volatility will inevitably decrease. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that already as the cycles have been coming through, right? From the first cycle, we went up like, what was it, 100x on Bitcoin. Then we went down to, what was it, like 50x. And now we're down to like 20x, you know, so forth, so on. But the price changes on the value of Bitcoin is much higher now with lower X multiples and gains. But why I'm saying volatility is important to the miners is because they get a span of, like I said before, like 9 to 6 months where things are going parabolic. And at that point, they're making like 80% profit margins, right? If you have Bitcoin going flat or slowly going up, that means that the network hash rate to me is also going to be keeping up with that, meaning that the hash price is going to stay relatively the same. There might be some fluctuations in it, but it's going to stay the same, meaning that the miners are going to be generating the same revenue. And that's why I say I kind of want those fluctuations in there, because then that makes the miners more profitable in that short period of time. At peak, they're like at 80, maybe even 85% profitability at that point. But they do have months before that where their profitability is also like 50%, 40%, 60%, things like that, where it gets better. So we definitely want that more. Okay. All right. So yeah, I see. Thank you. That makes the explanation. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. And Rick, thank you very much. Everyone hit the like button on the way out. I appreciate it. All right. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll get into it. We'll cover whatever happens. Hope you guys have a great Thursday morning if you're somewhere on another part of the planet, or Wednesday night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.